Welcome to the movie reviews. Last night I saw X all by myself with 10 other people in the movie theater. I was starting to have second thoughts about going to go see a scary movie by myself in the theaters. I don't think that I've ever done that before. I've always gone with somebody. But my movie theater buddy, which is my husband, he was home with her 2.5-year-old. So my seat of choice is always the very back in the center. And so I'm sitting there and the movie's getting ready to start, and there's this guy that walks up the stairs and he just like stares down my row. I don't know if he's necessarily looking at me, and he has something in his hand and I was like, oh my God, this is it. But then he walks back down, and then later he comes back with like his hands full of snacks and stuff. I saw that he had popcorn, and he like slowly walks by and then like kind of stops like almost right in front of me, and then like slowly slides by. And I'm a very paranoid person, so I was just like, but it was all good. And then on my way home, I swear, at least one other time, maybe when I went to go see Night House, I thought I was being followed on my way home. There was this car that was making a bunch of the turns that I was making, and I was almost home. I was like, okay, if I get into my neighborhood, then if they're still behind me, I will just loop around and then put in like police station in my navigation. Because you're not supposed, like if you think someone's following you, you're not supposed to just like go home. Because if you go home, like they get out of their car, they're gonna like, I mean, who knows? I was not being followed. Like I was almost home and I took a left turn and they took a right turn. Everything was fine. Why am I like this? I don't know. Will it save my life one day? I don't know. When I was watching the previews, I always like the previews because in this case, I saw a preview for a movie that I didn't even know was coming out. So there's this movie called Men that's coming out in May. So it's coming out in 2 months. And it was intriguing to me because it looked original and it looked scary. So in the preview, you should like look it up yourself. It was very intriguing, but basically there was this woman, I guess she's dreaming. I don't know. It shows her in multiple places, and then you start to think that these are her dreams. And then there's like a man or a creature that is following her every time. And then you see like marble statues of things that kind of make you think like, I don't know, there's some kind of like historical or mythological like element to the movie. I don't know. It doesn't reveal much, but it's enough to, if you like creepy stuff, you're going to want to watch it. So I will be going to go see that. Will I be going? I might be going to go see that in May. I don't remember when it's supposed to come out. It comes out May 20th, 5 days before we make the cross-country move from Seattle to Nashville. But I should, well, honestly, I'm going to try. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, I'm probably going to be like in the depths of, I should be mostly packed by then, but I really do want to go see the movie and do a video on it. So I might. I don't know. Or I might just go see it my first week, because it's going to take us a week to move. So I might go see it my first week in Nashville. I don't know. We'll see. But it definitely looked good. So the summary for it says, in the aftermath of a personal tragedy, Harper retreats alone to the beautiful English countryside, hoping to find a place to heal. However, someone or something from the surrounding woods appears to be stalking her. So maybe it's not a dream. I don't know. What begins as simmering dread soon becomes a fully formed nightmare inhabited by her darkest memories and fears. Sounds good to me. Okay, so X takes place in a farmhouse in Texas, and it's interesting because it fully looked like Texas. Now, I've never been to Texas. However, I lived in the South for a long time. I lived in Florida for a very long time, and it looked like the South. However, according to the Wikipedia, it was shot in New Zealand. Very interesting. Takes place in 1979, and is very reminiscent of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which in fact, when I saw the trailer for this, I almost completely dismissed it because I thought it was another remake sequel to Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which I feel like is super played out. And they're super gory. When I saw the very first Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I got it on DVD and I watched it alone in my room when I was a teenager, and it was jarring. And it's funny because I think in the beginning of the movie, I haven't seen it in a long time, it says it's based off true events. I thought, and probably a lot of people thought, that that particular story in the movie happened, but it was just inspired by a lot of things, namely Ed Gein, which was horrifying, but it's not the same story. And this movie reminds me of the first Friday the 13th. The look and the themes of the movie is totally 70s, 80s horror. If you like those stories, if you like that look, then you'll like this movie. Then you have a group of people, they're going specifically to shoot a pornographic film at this farmhouse. And there is a creepy old couple that own the house that rents this separate house cabin on the property to these people. And then night falls and chaos ensues. So when I would say that this movie turned out to be exactly what I expected from the trailer. However, it's not something that I would rewatch. It wasn't that amazing. It is getting good reviews from what I can see. But a movie like Night House that I saw last year, that is a new favorite of mine. And I will rewatch it all the time. It's so good. This is not a movie like that. It's a good one-watch movie. It's so rare, especially newer movies, that I want to rewatch. A lot of the older movies that I rewatch, whether they're good or not, I've been watching them for 30 years. So it's the nostalgia factor for me. I get good feelings from rewatching things I've watched since I was a kid. However, for me to say that I want to rewatch a movie that is new says a lot. So this is not that. However, like I said, it's good. Watch one time. It's exactly what you think it is. And I would recommend you go see it. Now we're going to get into the spoilers. It is very obviously like Texas Chainsaw Massacre because it's in Texas. It's in the 70s. Was the Texas Chainsaw Massacre set in the 70s? I don't remember. I think so. Either that or the 60s, probably the 70s. And you have this like family, or in this case, a couple who is just systematically killing people that come on their property. And then the way that it reminds me of the first Friday the 13th is, you know, the mother from Friday the 13th, she hates sex and young people and is bitter about her life. If that is not this married couple, in particular, the wife. So it definitely reminded me of those two movies for those reasons. One of the things I was really surprised about was after the movie, I went to go look up the cast and I wanted to know who played the old couple because clearly they're in old makeup. You know, they're made to look older. It looked fake, like they didn't look like a real old people. And then initially I was like, well, who played Pearl? Where? And then I look up back to the, you know, the top billing cast, and I see that Mia Goth, who played Maxine, also played Pearl, and I was like, I never would have guessed. But I guess it makes sense because she was supposed to favor Pearl when she was younger, but I didn't realize that it was the same person. I think she did a really good job with that. And then the Wayne character reminded me of Matthew McConaughey for some reason. I don't know why, and then Matthew McConaughey was in Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Next Generation. Just kind of interesting connection that I made there. So Pearl is fixated on Maxine. And I guess we see that because Pearl sees Maxine in herself. And she's obsessed with youth and her lost youth and just deranged, basically. She comes on to both Maxine and RJ. And so you're also not sure if it's just Pearl that's crazy or if it's Howard too. Because you're kind of like, especially in the previews, meant to think that Howard is just, you know, taking care of his wife and keeping her on track because she's not well and kind of like wanders off and does weird shit. But you quickly realize that it's both of them. And then I was starting to wonder if there's gonna be some kind of like supernatural element or twist to it, because I'm like, okay, there's this old woman. She used to be a pretty young woman. She's obsessed with youth and these young people at her house. Like, is this some kind of situation where like she steals their youth or something? Like she can suck it out of them? Like, I don't know why I started thinking that, but I was wondering, and that's not where it went. But that was my first guess. But it's just a straight up like slasher movie with like this twist about aging and loneliness, but totally a slasher movie. My husband is texting me things that my daughter is doing. He's with her today downstairs. So Pearl, basically, she hates being rejected. And she just wants to get laid by her husband with a bad heart, you know? Like, she's not ready to give it up yet. RJ, who is the man who is recording the porn, is the first kill. It's really brutal attack on his neck. She stabs in the neck just repeatedly. And the attack is set to Don't Fear the Reaper, because he tries to get in his van that the whole group comes in. He's upset because his girlfriend, who he brought with him to help him with the sound of the porn, decides that she wants to be in the porn. He was very upset about that. So he tries to leave, and then he almost runs into Pearl. So he gets out to help her. Because that's the thing. She presents as this helpless old lady, and then that's how she gets him. After she attacks him, she does this weird like ballet dance because she used to be a ballet dancer, and she's bathed in red light from the truck. And that was, you know, kind of like a weird scene. Probably also reminiscent of some classic scenes too, because, well, doesn't Leatherface do a weird dance with his chainsaw? And then there's probably other examples in other horror movies too that I'm not thinking of. So then Howard takes Jackson to look for his wife. Once again, just even though he's horrible to Jackson, Jackson takes pity on him because he's an old man, and the old man says his wife is missing, so he's like, I'll come help you look for her. While he is looking for her, he comes across a partially submerged VW bug. And then earlier, Jackson is drinking from a milk carton that has a missing sign on it. And then later on, what is her name? Lorraine gets locked in the basement. You see a man who is strung up there. So he must be the person who's missing and whose car is partially submerged in the lake. So the kills after the first one are in very quick succession. They're almost too cheap, but then when you really think about it, they're very much like old school classic slasher movies, so it's probably intentional for that reason. And then when it's only Maxine and Lorraine left, Maxine hears Lorraine screaming from the basement. She goes and gets her out, and Lorraine is hysterical. So the thing is, she kind of pissed me off, Lorraine did, because I'm like, okay, listen, if you want to survive, you can't act like that. However, we have never been in that situation. I probably would panic too. I don't know that I would like act that crazy. I would hope that I would have some kind of sense that would kick in and try and help me, you know, survive the situation. But Lorraine is totally hysterical, and she runs out of the house and winds up getting shot by Howard. But she totally could have lived if she wasn't so stupid. I was just like, God damn it. So Maxine is the final girl, and she's set up to be that way because everyone kept saying she was so special and had the X factor. After Howard has his heart attack, like he predicted he would have, Maxine takes Howard and Pearl's truck and then runs over Pearl's head. A few times throughout the movie, you see this like on TVs in this Texas country area. There's this preacher preaching about, you know, all the bad stuff, you know, but you don't see the ending of it. And in the end, as Maxine is driving away from the house, you see the end where the preacher reveals that his daughter has gone into sin, and it is none other than Maxine herself. But it appears that she didn't go to the police, I guess, Because then the police would have known what happened, because the police, I guess, I don't really know how they stumble upon this, like, because they're at the house 24 hours later. Did somebody call about it? There's nobody left. But anyway, they're investigating, they don't know what happened, but they find the video camera. So they're gonna see that Pearl was there and she's the only one missing, and they're gonna think she did this to everybody. Like, why wouldn't you go to police? I mean, probably because it's the 70s and you're a woman and you're a porn actress. And as we all know, if you're in a true crime, know that a lot of serial killers targeted sex workers because they didn't think anybody would care, as fucked up as that is. But police officers are not, well, I don't know how they are these days, but in those times they were not quick to solve cases, murders, anything bad that happened to sex workers, which is really sad because people are people. This movie, though, will definitely make you feel depressed about getting old. It is a grotesque way to show aging and loneliness, for sure. Aging and deranged loneliness. And then when I was researching the movie, so that's it about the movie, but I found out that a prequel for this film was shot at the same time, and Mia will play young Pearl, who in 1918, during World War I, ran a boarding house on that property. So I guess we're meant to think that she's been killing since then. I don't know. So maybe it wasn't the old age that made her crazy. She's just still crazy in old age and still killing folk. But that is it for this movie review. If you like the movie, let me know. If you like this review, let me know. Hit like, subscribe. I do movie reviews. I do a lot of other things. Check out all the videos I have going on my channel. I have a podcast called Beyond Unsolved where I talk about true crime and paranormal things. And that's it. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.